What's the difference between someone who follows through on what they say they'll do and someone who doesn't? It's not discipline, it's not willpower. It's learning to see the discomfort that shows up right at the moment you're called to act, and staying with it long enough to do the thing anyway. Right now, when that resistance hits in that moment, you just move away automatically. You don't even notice you're doing it. But you can learn to catch it as it happens. And when you do, when you stay with the discomfort instead of avoiding it, you actually follow through. You build the things that matter. You become someone who does what they say they'll do. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to build this capability, the specific practice, the right dosage, and what to do when that threshold moment arrives. Let's dive in. This is Training for a Better Week, building the capability to follow through on what matters. Before we go any further, I want to slow this down and name a few distinctions I'm using because they matter. When I talk about discomfort here, I'm not talking about background stress or general anxiety. I'm talking about the discomfort that shows up in the space between intention and action. That moment where you mean to do something and something in you hesitates. One common way people relate to that moment I call the automatic response. That's when the discomfort shows up and you move away from it without even really noticing. You delay, distract, rationalize, or do something else instead. There's no awareness yet, it just happens. A step beyond that is what I call the recognized response. That's when you notice it after the fact. Oh, there it was, I avoided that moment again. That recognition matters, it's real progress, but the pattern is still running while it happens. What we're building towards is something different. An active response. That's when you can see the discomfort as it arises in that space between intention and action and stay present instead of automatically pulling away. That ability grows through what I call upstress, being challenged at your edge in a way that's manageable but uncomfortable, just like muscle grows from tension, not from being torn apart or coasting in comfort. If you want the full mechanism for how this develops, I've linked last week's video below. So let me show you how to actually build this capability, the specific practice you need, how to find the right dosage, and what to do when those threshold moments show up. Here's how you actually start building this capability. You can think of capability as skill plus muscle. This video is giving you some of the skill. You're understanding how this works and what needs to change. But the muscle can only be built one way, by actually using it, which means you actually have to meet these threshold moments. Those points where discomfort shows up signaling it's time to act. When you choose to stay in relationship with it instead of avoiding it, that's how you strengthen the muscle. This is what I call practice because you're not just doing the thing, you're training the ability to do it dependably. But it's a different kind of practice than what most people think of. Most people think of practice as a kind of rehearsal, something separate from real life. You go to the gym to train, you rehearse before the presentation, you practice scales before playing the song. This is different. This happens at those threshold moments we've been talking about, when the alarm goes off, when the conversation needs to happen, when the project needs to start. Those moments aren't preparation for something else, they are the practice. Every time you meet one of those moments, despite the discomfort, you're not just accomplishing the task, you're building your capacity to meet the next one. And here's what makes this different from rehearsal practice. It matters to you. It's connected to something you actually care about. It's not arbitrary practice. It's practice that serves what's actually important to you. That's why I call it meaningful practice. This is why your past attempts haven't stuck. Not because you lack discipline, but because you were trying to build habits when what you needed was practice. A habit is a routine you can do on autopilot. Practice is a routine where you recognize you need to build capability, where the discomfort tells you this is what makes follow-through possible, not that something's wrong. In self-authorship, we don't talk about building habits, we talk about building practices. So how do you actually build a practice? You start where you are, not with the hardest version, with what's at your edge right now, what feels uncomfortable but doable. And as your capability grows, your edge moves. So what does this look like when you actually apply it? It comes down to dosage. Remember, upstress is being challenged at your edge in a way that's manageable but uncomfortable. Not so easy you're coasting, not so hard you're overwhelmed and shut down. That Goldilocks amount of challenge, that's what builds capability. So how do you find that right dosage? Think about whatever you've been avoiding. The full version might be too much. That's overwhelmed. You're just shut down. But what's the smallest version that still feels uncomfortable? Not easy, but doable. Maybe instead of run for 45 minutes every day, it's run for 20 minutes 3 times a week. Maybe instead of work on the business plan for 2 hours every night, it's work on it for 30 minutes every night. Find the version that stretches you but doesn't break you. That's your edge right now. And when you meet it, When you stay with the discomfort long enough to do the thing, your capability is growing. And your edge will move. What felt hard today gradually will feel easier. So you've identified your edge, the right size version that stretches you without breaking you. Now let's look at what to actually do when you face it. When that moment comes, when it's time to do the thing, the discomfort will show up. Resistance, anxiety, that voice saying, not now, later. Here's what you do first. Brace yourself. Think of it like bracing for a wave. You plant yourself, tense slightly, ready to absorb what's coming without being swept away. Not to fight the discomfort, not to push it away, but to hold yourself in place as it comes in. You're preparing to meet it rather than automatically avoiding it. You feel that resistance building and you stay put. You hold yourself there. Second, you welcome it. You see it arriving. There's that feeling. And instead of treating it as the enemy, you let it in. This is the discomfort that comes with growth. This is what stretching feels like. Third, you embrace it. You hold it close, because this discomfort isn't punishment, it's nourishment. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's feeding your capability. Think about lifting a weight at the gym. That burn, that tension, it doesn't feel good in the moment, but it's what builds strength. Your muscles don't grow from comfort, they grow from being stretched. It's the same here. The discomfort is the signal you're at your edge. This is where your capability grows. So you stay in relationship with it, you hold it. And while you're holding it, while you're staying with that uncomfortable feeling, fourth, you do the thing anyway, you meet the demand. That's meaningful practice. You're building your capability. The question is, will you actually meet that moment when it shows up this week in your own life? Take 10 seconds and check something for yourself. As you've listened to this, do you recognize where discomfort shows up and you usually pull away? If you did, here's a simple structure you can run on one real thing you've been avoiding. So here's what to try this week. 6 simple steps. Before the moment, step 1. Pick one thing you've been avoiding, just one, something you know you should do but keep putting off. Step 2. Find the right size version, not the full thing, that might be too much. What's the smallest version that still feels uncomfortable but doable? Maybe instead of cut out all snacking, it's skip snacks after dinner. That's your edge right now, in the moment. Step 3. Brace yourself. The discomfort will show up, that's guaranteed. The resistance, the anxiety, the voice that says not now, later. When you feel it coming, hold yourself steady. Don't fight it, don't avoid it, just brace for it. Hold your ground. And step 4, welcome and embrace it. This is the signal you're at your edge. This is your friend, your capability trying to grow. Welcome it in, embrace it, stay in relationship with it. Step 5, do the thing anyway. While you're holding that discomfort, meet the demand. Do the thing you set out to do. After the moment. Step 6, reflect and return. Afterward, notice what happened. Did you meet it? Did you avoid it? Here's the thing, you won't meet it every time. You'll bounce off it sometimes. Most people do. It takes practice to build the capability to reliably meet uncomfortable moments. You're not going to nail it on your first try, just like you didn't nail riding a bike on your first attempt or cooking a decent meal the first time you tried. The key is to keep returning to the practice. Miss once, return once. If you avoided it, that's not failure, that's information. Go back to step 2. Maybe the dosage was too high. Make it smaller. Try again. And here's what makes this practice so powerful. Every time you consciously meet one of these moments, you're doing 2 things at once. You're performing the action itself and you're building your capability to perform it. You're getting the outcome and you're strengthening the muscle that produces the outcome. That's why in IDOJO we say practice pays twice. Remember, this isn't practice makes perfect. This is meaningful practice, practice that builds capability. You're not rehearsing some future performance. You're building the muscle in real time, in your real life, in the service of what matters to you. And each time you return to the practice, even after you stumbled, you're strengthening that muscle. And here's what's at stake. Every time you automatically avoid discomfort, you're not just putting off a task, you're reinforcing a pattern, strengthening it, making it more automatic, more powerful. And that pattern compounds. 6 months from now, you'll still be avoiding the same conversations. A year from now, that project will still be unstarted. The gap between who you want to be and who you're actually being stays the same. Not because you're incapable, but because you're still moving away automatically. And the worst part, you won't even see it happening. It'll just feel like life passing you by. But here's what opens up when you meet this capability. You can have the conversations that matter, start the projects you care about, follow through on what you say you'll do. Not because you've perfected yourself or eliminated discomfort, but because you've built the capacity to meet it. And the best part, this transfers. Wherever you practice meeting discomfort without collapsing, the same capability shows up everywhere. Build it with your morning routine and you start noticing it when you speak up in meetings, when you have the hard conversation with your partner, when you push through on the business idea instead of researching endlessly, because it's the same capability underneath. Your life stops feeling like something that's happening to you and becomes something you're actively shaping. That's what I call self-authorship, actively shaping your life rather than just reacting to it. Discomfort isn't the problem, it's the signal. It's telling you you're at your edge, exactly where capability can grow. Next week, we're tackling imposter syndrome, not the usual advice about credentials or confidence. We're looking at what's actually creating that feeling and how to address it at the root. If this was useful, a like helps to reach the right people. And if you want to stay with this work, subscribe. It ensures you'll catch next week's episode when it lands. I'll see you then. This is Training for a Better Week, weekly training for self-authorship, so your weeks actually go the way you mean.